What's good, Wagering World? It's your boy Five Star in Vegas. I'm broadcasting live as always from beautiful Summerlin, Nevada. This is the Wagering World, and I'm joined by my co-host, man, the OG of the show. He's been with me since day one, and we missed you, Spread, the only Sacramento Kings fan that I know. Spread Astaire, what's good, Bubby?
Man, I'm not the only Las Vegas Raiders fan, but boy, pretty disappointing performance there. And I'll get into that here in a little bit. But boy, man, I just want one season where I got some hope after week 3 because it just feels like the writing's on the wall already for that team. But we'll get into it more as we continue to break down these games. How you doing today?
Man, I'm great. A little broken sleep, unfortunately. My 2-year-old baby girl has a little cough and stuff, so it was bothering her. She was hacking all night and coming in the room with my wife and I kind of, breaking our sleep. And then, of course, her brother, that she's so close with, my 5-year-old Dean, he and her upset from the other room, and like, I got to go check on my sister, so he was up a little bit too. So a little short on sleep, but what's new with Five Star? Like everyone knows, I kind of got the John Gruden sleep pattern. I only sleep for about 4 to 5 hours a night. And if I'm talking about I can stay up to 2 in the morning, I'm going to be up about 7, man. I don't know why. I've always been like that ever since a kid. Probably my ADHD. It benefits me well in life sometimes, but kind of hard to get the mind still. You know what I mean, Spread?
Yeah, well, we're glad you're here, and hopefully you got enough sleep because we got plenty to talk about today.
Yes.
Let's dive right into the past because we got a long script today. The first one we want to talk about is Iowa at Rutgers. Rutgers -2. Cash the first half there. Rutgers +1/2. What did you see in that one?
We saw that Rutgers is kind of transformed from a defensive first team to really a scoring team. The problem is, and I don't know why this is with these type of coaches, when they kind of transition from being a team that's known for playing defense and playing 3 yards in a cloud of smoke, and then they start more concentrating on the offensive side of the ball and putting up points, seems like their defenses always suffer, man. I don't know why that is, but that seems to be what's going on in Piscataway. So we do catch the first half by the skin of our teeth because the punt returner for Iowa had a great return. He could have very well stepped out of bounds with about 5 seconds left. Actually, they were well within the field goal range. As we know that Coach Ferentz is going to always have a really, really good kicker, man. So we got by the skin of our teeth with that one as we get a 14-14 tie at halftime, and that allows us to catch the plus half. As I said, I wasn't messing with the full game on this one. Excuse me, it was 21-21 at the half. I apologize. Made it 21-21 at the half, but man, I wasn't going to mess with the full game. I knew that Iowa was going to figure out a way to win. They've dominated this series, and this is one of those situations where I'm not going to get on the side of a team who's trying to beat a team for the first time in a decade. But I'm glad we were able to cash and look forward to playing more overs with Rutgers as the year goes by. Iowa with a huge game this weekend as they're going to host Indiana, a really hot team who had probably the most impressive display this weekend. They manhandled Illinois.
All right, well, let's dive into a game that we did not win. SMU was +7 at TCU. We didn't play the side. We played the total. It came in at 63, but we were not able to get it there. What did you see in that game?
Man, this was just a struggle game. I don't know what either team was doing. I don't know if the books told them to keep it right there at 59 because they had several opportunities late on both sides to score and get us over that 63. Just come up a little short, couple missed field goals. I can tell you one thing. TCU has another Quentin Johnston over there and Eric McAllister. This kid is unbelievable, and he wears the same number Quentin Johnston wore, number 1. He's going to play in the NFL for sure. Kevin Jennings got hurt early in the game. Like I say, about the second or third quarter, he got hurt. Might have been right after halftime, man. And he's a tough kid. And he ends up getting up, but he lost some of his mobile attributes after that. So TCU looks good. We'll see how Hoover was doing. Another stupid decision by a coach. You have Sonny Dykes, they got complete control of the game. It's maybe 20 seconds left in the game, and it's 4th and 15 from, I want to say, the SMU 40. Instead of them punting the ball or just, I don't know, take a knee, do something, they drop back Hoover and let him throw the ball, and he gets injured on the last play of the game. So we'll see how he looks going into Arizona State as the Horned Frogs visit Arizona State in a huge Big 12 matchup next week, as Arizona State with a big win at Baylor. TCU is getting 2.5 points, so I don't know if that means that they have some intel at the books that maybe Josh Hoover is hurt, but he's a really good player, man. And he was saved, though, by McAllister because SMU's defense was on his row. But unfortunately, we come up short on the over on that one. And, man, I really, really thought we were going to get there. Everything pointed to them going over in the fourth quarter.
All right, let's talk about a game that we not only cashed one, we cashed 2 tickets. Arkansas -7 at Memphis. We got the first half, Arkansas -4, and the first half went over 31.5. We hit a favorite in an over, 5-star boy. Things are changing here on the wagering world.
Yeah, man, the first half, we already said that Arkansas is one of the best first half teams in college football. They have a great player, Taylor Green. His team has fumbled away, most likely, our future bet on this Heisman Trophy because these guys cannot protect the ball late in the game when it matters. We have a big fumble that makes them lose this game for the full game against Memphis straight up. It's no way that Arkansas should have lost this game if you watched that entire game, which I did. Then the week before, they had Ole Miss beat and a fumble by a wide receiver cost them the game. So the only thing that matters is the results. Taylor Green is putting up some outstanding numbers, man. He did have a few interceptions in this game, but still overall 325 yards, a touchdown. Also, he rushed for 53 yards. So he did his thing. His teammates have been letting him down. And all I could think watching that game was, man, why did you choose to go play for Arkansas? They're one of those bad luck, teams that always find a way to lose. Sam Pittman, I don't know how long he's going to make it there in Arkansas because he just gave away 2 big games. And Arkansas has a lot of money over there, as you know, in their alumni. And unfortunately, their results have not equaled to the money that they put into getting athletes. But as we cashed the first half, it was pretty easy because, Arkansas has been the best first half team offensively all year in college football. And they also averaged, as we said before, 49 points total in the first half between them and their opponents. This week, they get to 28, 17, 41. So pretty easy cash on the over. Very disappointing, but I still think the Memphis is fool's gold.
All right. There's the breakdown on the Memphis game. Let's move to a segment. A long time. We haven't done this for a while, 5-star. I actually had to remake the banner. It'd been a little while, but longtime listeners will be aware. And, just like these teams do, and hopefully that's what my Raiders are doing this week. You go back, you check the film, you see where you made mistakes, and you see what you need to get better at. So this segment is bad beat, bad break, or bad handicap. And it's some of the plays that we came up on short this week. And we're going to do a little self-reflection and decide, was it simply a bad beat? Stay with the process, no changes. Was it a bad break? Kind of the same. Or what's most important, was it a bad handicap and why did it happen? So let's start. Like I said, sometimes you lose and your process is sound. And we had 3 of the worst beats in recent memory. Let's first talk about Jordan Love and the Packers, who were supposed to go 17-0 and upend the Philadelphia Eagles, yet they fell short in Cleveland against the Browns. What did you see in that game?
I was sitting inside the Red Rock when that happened. You should have heard the moans when Green Bay blew that game, because you got to think about this. I'm sure that Green Bay was probably the number 1 pick for people on those survivor pools. Like, that they probably used Green Bay this week, and a lot of survivor pools came to a really sad end this week. Shout out to Cleveland's defense. We know that Myles Garrett sets the tone over there. Really good job by him. My guy Grant Delpit from LSU makes a huge play at the end, causing Jacobs to fumble and getting the ball back for Cleveland. But this was kind of like Arkansas to me. The Packers play with their food, and it makes you wonder a little bit about these games when you see Matt LaFleur with one of the best running attacks in the game throwing the ball, and it ends up with Jordan Love throws an interception with about 2 minutes left, right before the 2-minute marker. The Browns had one timeout. It made no sense to me at all. The approach by LaFleur, and LaFleur is a pretty sharp guy, so just makes you wonder, man. You know, we always got to look at these games kind of strange because we know how much money these books made off of Green Bay, not only not covering, but also losing the game straight up at the end. They have a kick blocked. They have a field goal made by this field goal kicker. And if you've ever bet Cleveland before, like I have, you know that they always have some of the jinkies kicking them in Atlanta Falcons. So it was really weird to me. Like I guess they gave him the rocket ball. He makes a 55-yarder or so to walk off, and they beat Green Bay in one of the baddest beats that I can remember. I'm sorry to anyone who had them on a teaser, anyone that had them in their survivor. We took them second half -3.5, and it was looking so good. And I never talked during the game. I started DMing all those guys and text them like, bro, are you watching this? Because I seen it all coming to fruition when Jordan Love threw that interception. Browns have found that running back. Keyshawn Jenkins is the truth. He took over that game in the fourth quarter. What I don't understand is, what's Kevin Stefanski's approach right now with this team? Okay, you have a really good defense. You know you guys aren't going to win the division. You know that. Like, it's already pretty much set in stone that the Ravens are going to win that division. Why aren't you playing your rookie guys? Why aren't you allowing Dylan Gabriel or Shador Sanders? I personally let them take turns. I start Dylan Gabriel one game. I start Shador the next game, because you're trying to find out your quarterback for the future if you're Cleveland. You know it's not going to be Flacco. So I don't know why Stefanski is allowing Flacco to stink it up like he's allowing him to do. He's definitely past his prime. We know that. He's just out here drawing checks and trying to, be a mentor to young kids. He went 21 of 36, 142 yards, one interception. There's no pop at all on that offense. You got a good running back that you can lean on. Why is Stefanski playing the kids? Do you have any opinion on that spread?
He's trying to get fired?
Is he? Because he gotta be, right?
I don't know what's going on there in Cleveland. I don't think he wants to be there. And
it's so weird. It is so weird. His press conferences are so weird. I just don't know what he's doing, man, over there. Andrew Berry, you draft 2 rookies in the first round. I mean, we've seen Washington be successful with that when they took RG3 and Kirk Cousins, but that isn't a normal thing because you don't have time really, with how limited practice is now with the new rules, to get snaps to the third stringer. They did keep Shador. He does all the practice squad stuff. I mean, that was Tony Romo's way into becoming the starting quarterback for the Cowboys. He was killing them on the practice squad. Same with Kirk Cousins. So maybe that's what they're trying to do. But if you listen to the guys who are really on the ground every day with that team, man, they're tired of Stefanski holding back these kids. Let them play, man. How are they going to ever get an opportunity where you can see what they could do? You're going to waste a whole nother season. But overall, just a horrible beat on that game for everybody. That's the true definition of a bad beat. Now, let's get to the next one that was just as bad.
Rams plus 2.5 over the Eagles. This one I didn't think was as bad. Obviously, it was pretty disappointing. I was on the Rams as well. Felt pretty good. And even as a fan, I would like to see the Rams take over. You know how it was? I didn't want them to ban the tush push because I figure if you can't stop it, don't create a rule. But it's become obvious to me that they're unable to officiate it correctly. And now I want it banned, not because the other teams can't stop it. It's just because they can't officiate it correctly. And just because I'm kind of tired of the discourse, and I think people realize that it's going to happen this offseason anyways. rooting for Los Angeles there. And I'd like to see someone else coming out of the NFC this year just because it kind of overshadows the rest of the game. Los Angeles came out great, and you would think they would have the run game to finish it off, but they simply did not. Philadelphia combined some luck with some great play. They finally figured out how good A.J. Brown was, but disappointing for the Rams and their backers. What did you see in that one?
Just you talk about that one is bad. I think it was worse for those who had 2.5 points in the Rams or the Rams money line, because you had the Rams kicking for the game-winning field goal. Not only is it blocked by one of their dogs from in the middle from Georgia, they got two guys up the middle from Georgia who are just beasts. Not only is it blocked, he scoops it up and like, I bet on this shit. It took it and Dry took it to the house for a touchdown. So you thought you at least had to cover on, the spread because it was +1. So him running back that touchdown just snatched, food out of people's mouths. So I don't know, man. I personally think this was a way worse beat than the Green Bay game, just because you had the cover at least locked in, even if you didn't.
The only reason I didn't is because we did go against the Super Bowl champions, right? They're arguably still the best team in the NFL.
It's not arguable.
Them come back.
They are the best team, Spread.
Okay.
Spread, they're the best team in the NFL. You know why? They're winning games like this one. They were behind in the second half and looked dead. It was 26-7 after Kyron Williams scored their touchdown in the third quarter. The way that people think that the Eagles play football, they thought that it would surely be over with, and Jalen Hurts put them on his back. What he showed me was that him and Nick Sirianni are just some smart dudes, because I posted earlier, an ugly win is still a win. The Eagles like to win, period. They don't care if it looks good or if it's ugly, right? So this game, it looked good because they had to throw to come back. But if they're dominating the team on the line, they're running it with Saquon, they're getting in, because the announcer was talking about it, the guy that used to play tight end for Carolina, I forgot his name. He's a really good commentator, really good analyst. Super good player over there with Cam Newton at tight end. I can't remember his name. If you guys remember, throw it in the chat right now for me. He was talking about the fact that it's an advantage because the Eagles, when they get to 2nd and 4, it's pretty much over with. They could just push 2 straight times if they choose. Thank you, Olsen. That's him. Yep, that's my guy. That's my guy right there. You're right, Olsen. Yeah, so Greg Olsen was speaking about that, about how it's a clear advantage, in Shula, who's a really good DC over there with the Rams, was saying, like, man, what am I supposed to do in these situations? Like, what am I supposed to do if these guys get it in a situation where it's less than 3 yards? You can't stop them. So the tush push will be removed. But besides that, that's going to be a huge advantage for the Eagles that's going to be taken away from them next year, that they can run that play. I don't know how you can, I guess you can ban it by alignment, but they'll still be able to quarterback sneak, So quarterback, they just probably won't be able to get rugby style. And even with a quarterback sneak, you have a huge advantage with Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts has the strongest legs of any quarterback to ever play in the NFL. This isn't something I'm just saying. This is, recorded. Like, this guy squats 700 pounds. So that's going to be still an advantage for them. They're just going to line up and do it differently. They're just good in short yardage. And you win games with details. And Sirianni and Hurts have found the perfect formula for winning games and not losing games, for keeping it simple, stupid. If we're doing something that is working and we're ahead, we can play to the defense. But if we have to come back, we still have 2 of the best wide receivers in all of football on the outside. For sure, a top 5 duo together. And it was a play that A.J. Brown made, man, on, I think it was 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9. It was pretty long, where he was one-on-one with the cornerback. Maybe it was Lake from Rams. He's a really good player. And he goes to him, and he catches the ball with one hand, man, and stiff arms the guy to the ground while catching with one hand. I'm like, this guy's a beast. He's like a tight end hybrid outside with, elite speed. And then we got Devontae Smith on the other side, who had maybe the greatest receiving career of any college football player in history. Won the Heisman, won every award you can name. was that good at Alabama, and his game has translated to the NFL, even though he's a slight guy. And the thing I like most about the Eagles is everybody just does their job. I would not be surprised if the Eagles repeat as Super Bowl champions, at least the way that they're looking right now, unless they get some injuries like to Jalen Hurts. I think they might can even stomach Saquon Barkley getting hurt, man, because their system is so sound. So the Eagles are looking real good, a very impressive win, but as a better, and from our point of view, one of the worst beats you can imagine if you had the 2.5 points with the Rams like we did, because this guy blocks the kick when you're trying to win the kick, and not only does he block it, he runs it back for a touchdown with no time left for the cover. So the Eagles continue to cash for their fans.
All right. Auburn +7 at Oklahoma. What did you see in that one?
That was an absolutely bad beat. Jackson Arnold takes a safety down 5 points in that game. And what's even worse about that game spread, what made it an even worse bad beat, was Auburn should have won the game straight up. First, they take a scoop and score for them in the first quarter where the receiver for Oklahoma clearly catches the ball. He clearly doesn't touch the ground because the defender is under him and rolls him, and he loses the ball. Auburn scoops it up, takes it for a touchdown. Early, we're supposed to be up in that game. Then the way that Oklahoma scores before the half is an illegal play. As soon as they ran it, I tweeted about it. I'm sure a lot of people, if you didn't play football, you didn't understand what I was talking about. They ran a play that I used to run in high school called a hideout. It's where the receiver pretends he's going out of the game, but he stands right in front of the sidelines, but he's outside of the hash mark. And if you're not paying attention on defense, you're not going to notice him. We used to do it so bad. We'd have our receiver put his hands on his knees like he's taking a break, like he's on the sideline. He's really on the field. Guys used to be wide open. I actually threw a touchdown pass to Dave Peterson, who is Doug Peterson's little brother, on that same play, which was the hideout. It's just you put your hands on your knees, stand on the sidelines. And it's crazy because Dave was a tight end back there by varsity football. He ended up being a guard. But that play was illegal, and the ref shouldn't have allowed it. And later on, after I tweeted that, the SEC said that it was an illegal play and the ref shouldn't have allowed it. They're saying he checked with the officials and all that, but it's illegal by just spirit of the law for any time to have a receiver outside the hash uncovered. Like, that's just bad sportsmanship. It's Bush League, and they allowed it. And, kudos to Oklahoma for finding a weakness in the Auburn defense by doing that trickery. But also, I got to go back to Hugh Freeze. I don't understand what Hugh Freeze does during the week. It's like only thing this guy does is recruit really good athletes and guys who could play, and doesn't coach them anything, man. And that's why me and him got into it a couple years ago, because the way he coached Malik Willis, and I feel like Malik Willis could have been a much better quarterback if he did some better coaching. And now he's doing the same thing over there at Auburn. He has a kid over there, Cam Coleman. You guys remember that name, because Cam Coleman is going to be one of those guys in the NFL outside. He's a legit star at wide receiver. And for some reason, man, Hugh Freeze cannot come up with a scheme, come up with something outside his little pop gun offense to highlight the talent that he has over there, man. Everything is either a go route, a dive to the running back, or a quarterback keep. Like a quarterback, just take it and run a draw of power with the quarterback. I don't like his offense at all. I never have. And Auburn ends up with a horrible beat. You get a push on the +7 if you did like us. If you got the line late at -6.5, you actually lost it. And just dumb. Jackson Arnold has 2 opportunities. It's second down and third down. They're trying to drive to win the game from their own, I think, 5 or so. He throws the ball away twice. Like, what are you doing? You can't waste downs, and then takes a sack on 4th down to knock us out the money. So, horrible beat there. Spread, you still here?
Oh, yeah, I'm still here. You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can't see you, though.
I just knocked my camera. All right, we're good.
Okay.
All right,
so the Jets real fast, and then we'll get out of this segment. Did you see the Jets game?
Oh, I did skip that one.
It's okay.
Yeah, I did.
Because I know some people had the Bucks and laid the 6.5 and lost on that one too.
Yeah, that was another tough game. And, I'm rooting for Aaron Glenn. And obviously, I like Justin Fields. We had Tyrod Taylor out there. Couldn't get it done. And once again, it feels like a great defensive performance went to waste.
Yeah, just a great job on the block kick for a touchdown. It's crazy because most times what that guy did jumping over the center is called a foul. Like it's just the NFL is so jinky. They have it where sometimes they let plays go, sometimes they don't. And if they would have not wanted them to cover, they would have said that was illegal what he did by jumping over the center and blocking the kick. T Slick has it right. He says, hit that like button, guys. Hit that like button right now. If you rocking with the Wager World, if you catch it later on the show, also hit that like button. Appreciate it, T Slick. Yeah, so just a bad cover. But from that game, I can say if you had the Bucks and lost that, I apologize. At least you did get the teaser in as Baker Mayfield, who was the early NFL MVP, right there with Lamar Jackson. Another drive, 3 game winning drives by Baker. They were out there in the cream and orange, the orange sickle. So the Bucks with the old school uniforms get it done, but a bad beat for people who bet against the spread because they had that game in hand and were up maybe 3 scores in the fourth quarter and ended up not covering.
All right. Yeah, that was hopefully Aaron Glenn gets that turnaround. Let's talk about our bad breaks. The Cowboys and the Bears was over 50.5. CeeDee Lamb knocked out on the first series. What did you see there?
That changed everything because we know that the way that the Cowboys offense operates, it's about Dak Prescott and it's about CeeDee Lamb. And when he went out the game, it's no one that you can take from that receiving core and replace CeeDee Lamb with. As you see, George Pickens kind of blows the game with a ball that was right in his hands that ends up turning into an interception because he just couldn't corral it. And we saw the same thing in the Steelers. The Steelers completely upgrade by getting off of George Pickens as their wide receiver 1 and bringing in DK Metcalf. Another solid game by Dak. He did have 2 interceptions, but as I said, one of them for sure wasn't on him. 31 of 40, 251. The Cowboys, they're just one of those teams, man, that are going to be week to week. I think they're going to be one of those 7 and 10 teams, 8 and 9 somewhere. They do have offense, but I don't know if they're going to be able to stick with Eberflus on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know if it's just he doesn't have enough talent, but they've been giving up a lot of yards. First win ever over there for a new coach for the Chicago Bears. He finally runs some backyard plays to highlight Caleb Williams' talent. That's kind of what Caleb likes to do. He's going to have to throw more trick plays in. He did a lot of trick plays with the Lions, not as much so far with Chicago. I did play the first quarter on here, Bears. The Bears have been one of the best first quarter teams in the league, so I cashed that one really easy. But the over doesn't get there as late. Milton came in the last series for Dak, and they actually were right by the goal line, and they called it an illegal man downfield or some crap to keep it under the number. But I'm sure a lot of people took a bad break on that one. It all starts from losing CeeDee Lamb early. I think this game sails over the 50.5 if CeeDee Lamb plays.
All right, let's talk about the Texans and the Jags. I feel like the same way about the Texans I feel about the Raiders is we got all these cool things to be excited about. And then I know the Texans actually did it, but they just failed. When you can't block, it makes your quarterback look bad. It makes your coaching look bad. And it makes the running back and the receivers look bad. And it just sucks because we can get all excited on fantasy, CJ Stroud and Nico Collins and Nick Chubb and Dalton Schultz and all these guys. But when you can't block, it's just so disappointing. And that was the same issue I had with the Raiders, and go into that in a little bit. But boy, you're so bad up the middle. It's just really tough for these plays to look proper. That was my takeaway from the Texans games. It's just, we talked about this last year. They got a bunch of new guys and they still have the same problem.
It's one big problem for the Texans. Nick Caley. That's the major problem. You can look at him on the sidelines. He's completely lost spread. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. D'Amico needs to be smart enough to go on and cut ties, fire this guy, or at least take away the play calling from him. You have Gerard Johnson over there, former A&M player, quarterback from the Houston area, who has called plays before for the Eagles. They need a new play caller in ASAP. I watched every snap of that game from Red Rock because I want to be really focused on it to see what the problem is and make sure that I wasn't tripping from when I watched the All-22 last week. And Nick Caley didn't make any adjustments, man. Still one of the most vanilla offenses you're going to see. Really no motion. The only time I saw him bring motion is when he's motioning the guy last second before the snap to bring him in position to make a block on the run. No creativity. Nico Collins does hit a big play, but it's a bad break because later on in the game with 3 minutes left after the Texans seem to have, stolen the game in the fourth quarter, he fumbles. And that fumble leads to Jacksonville getting the ball back and going down and winning. This might end up being a tough year for the Texans. We'll see. I saw the same body language that we're seeing from C.J. Stroud with another number one pick that we had who had so much promise, and that was Deshaun Watson. He also has the same exact agent as Deshaun Watson and David Mugetta. Texas better be careful because CJ is going into next year is his contract year for his rookie contract to be up. This summer, if they don't get things fixed during this season, I won't be surprised if this summer Mugetta and CJ Stroud try to force their way out of Houston. He's showing subtle little things to them. People are saying, oh, he just has all types of baseball hats. No, man. This man knows not to wear a Yankees hat or a Seattle Mariners cap. In Houston, you represent the city. You're the CEO of the Texans by being the quarterback. Those are slight slugs telling people he don't really give a damn about Houston. Like, we're going to just keep it real over here on the wagering world. So CJ Stroud has lost a lot of love for this franchise. He feels like they're letting him down, like they're putting him in good positions to win. And I feel like he's losing a lot of love for the city for the criticism that they're giving him, even though he's such a young player. Young players deal with criticism differently, man. And I hope we don't see the same situation with Deshaun Watson as Mugetta gets CJ Stroud to take the extension this summer and then try to force his way out and go to another team. But can I blame him? We have the same family that owns the Texans that's been owning the Texans. We thought some things had changed. Maybe they haven't. Maybe they haven't because it seems like a complete repeat of the exact thing we saw with Deshaun Watson. DeMeco Ryans, hell of a defensive coordinator. We got to give it to him, but you're a head coach now, buddy. You're a head coach. Don't let Nick Caley cost you your job because the thing about Houston and the fan base is they get arrogant fast and they forget everything you've done for them and they will run you out of town because they're not too high on brothers running the team anyway. If we're going to just be honest, we saw it with Dusty Baker. We saw it with the other coaches that have been there. So it's not the team. The team is cool. It's the fan base. Bless you, Spread. It's the fan base, man. The fan base can get real negative, and that negativity gets out on social media. And people like, oh, it's on social media. Nobody cares. Man, all these guys are human. They're young. DeMeco Ryans is, 40 years old, maybe 41 or something up in there. You don't think he reads social media? CJ's a kid. You know he's staying on social media. But they talk so recklessly in the fan base about these guys, that it gets out of hand. And not every fan base is like that. It's a lot of fan bases that ride it out with their team. So Houston, we have a problem, and it's Nick Caley. So CJ Stroud needs Nick Caley to get off the play sheet. DeMeco, for his job's sake, needs to have a strong hand this week and get off of Nick Caley. Bro, Jacksonville is one of the weakest defenses in the league. It's no way in hell you're supposed to score 10 points against Jacksonville. That's all offensive play calling. Then you look at the running backs. Nick Chubb had 9 carries for 38 yards. That's 5 yards a carry, essentially. Woody Mark, 6 carries for 27 yards. That's 4.5 yards a carry. Why the hell are you only running the ball 19 times? Why? Why is CJ throwing it 38 times, and in the 38 times he's throwing, it's no disguise. It's just dropbacks. It's just stupid. We have a guy who doesn't know what he's doing. Bad hire by DeMeco. Be smart enough, DeMeco, to go on and cut the cord. Pass the play sheet to Gerard Johnson.
Yeah, I know you weren't happy with Bobby Sloak, but I thought that what he was doing was a lot better
Lance
what we're
Zerline made a
currently
great
seeing.
point. He said that the only thing they had to do was have a stern talker with Bobby over the summer, and he would have gotten together, because Bobby Slowick was a pretty good play caller. And the great thing
I think
about
so.
it was
Yeah.
he knew CJ better than everyone because he had been with him since day one. Him and CJ had a falling out, but this is pro ball, big boys, grown men. Fix that shit and get out there and do your job. You're both getting paid a lot of money. That little skirmish that they got into doesn't matter. Get over it and work together, man. Because Bobby Slowick, hey, he looks a lot better right now than Nick Cale. I can tell you that, because they were putting up some points with Slowick, man.
Yeah, I agree. Bad handicap, however. Let's go ahead and acknowledge, right? We're not perfect here. We win more than we lose, but some of these are tough, and it's tough when you realize you're watching this game, and I'm sure, why did I back this guy? He shouldn't even be in the league. Like, maybe as a backup to do some mop-up duty or play a game or two. He's not an NFL caliber starter anymore.
No.
And people say, oh, they should go to Jackson Dart, see what they have. You know what? A lot of these guys get thrown out there too early, and it ruins their confidence. And that's what I worry about CJ, that he's being irreparably damaged right now by just getting so much pressure up the middle. He's not really learning the game properly. And maybe you should just throw Jameis out there and continue to let Jackson Dart develop, because this isn't a good franchise. Look at what these players do when they go to other teams. Look at what Daniel Jones is doing in Indy. Who was the other one? Oh, Saquon, of course. And then I don't know if it's still true, but I know that their corner they let walk was leading the league in interceptions through last week. That was a tough one, man. And the Giants are just going to be a tough watch this year. And I complain about the Raiders having bad ownership and bad leadership. That Giants front office is even worse. The amount of talent and the amount of draft picks they've missed on. I mean, just by sheer luck, they should be better. And I have to wonder if it's the development. Are these guys actually talented, and would they be fine the other way? Because Daniel Jones seems to indicate that. A lot to go wrong in New York, and I don't think I'll be backing them anytime soon, unless it's a divisional matchup where the familiarity might help. But anytime they're playing out of conference or out of division, I can't look to the Giants right now. What did you see?
I apologize to my group, and I apologize to the free play that I gave out. We did hit the first half plus 3.5. We lose the game plus 6.5. I already knew. You guys know how much I love Patrick Mahomes, and I bet him. But I've seen in the past many times before that in these situations, Mahomes isn't trying to cover. He's just trying to win the game. He's a company man. That's why he, won all the Super Bowls he's won. He's going to do what the Shield needs him to do. And we saw early in the game, he was doing some really crazy stuff, missing guys on purpose, throwing the ball backwards. I feel like it was completely the right play with the amount of money that was on the Chiefs. It's just that, unfortunately for us, Russell Wilson is that bad. Even when everything's scripted for him to be successful, he cannot be. We had the first half plus 3.5 in the group, and also money line plus 160. I'm still sitting here with my head spinning in disbelief the fact that we did not win that. They go ahead because Scatterboo comes in. Tracy gets hurt. Tracy's a nice running back, but Scatterboo's going to be the man over there, and he's wearing the right number in 44. Another great white running back in John Riggins, and this guy is good, man. I like Scatterboo. He's not afraid of the NFL. I was worried if his speed was going to show up in the NFL, but he looks pretty fast to me out there. We know that he can do everything on the field. He's one of those rare guys that can block, he can run, he can catch. He's just a playmaker. So moving forward, that offense is going to be exciting with Scatterboo in the backfield, and hopefully Jackson Dart, because I do like Jackson Dart as a playmaker. I think he can become a Brett Favre if he can understand how to read defenses and doesn't get so loose with the ball, because he's always showed a strong arm and playmaking ability and a lot of heart. So I do like that about Dart. I just don't know how smart he is, because he has had a lot of boneheaded plays, and he kind of gets nervous when you hit him in the SEC. I saw that. But Scatterboo is the guy. So Scatterboo scores. They missed the damn extra point, or we would be up 7-6. They get a stop, get the ball back, and they're inside the 35, well in field goal range. We got 6-6 on the board and about 30 seconds left, and this idiot, Russell Wilson, just throws a punt in the end zone. I know Malik Neighbors hates this guy. Like, you never throw me the ball, but when you do, you throw horrible passes that I don't have an opportunity to even make a play on, or you throw hospital balls and get me hurt. So Russell Wilson throws is just the dumbest pass I've ever seen, and it's intercepted. We're still good. It's 6-6. The Chiefs are backed up. Then Mahomes does Mahomes type things, breaks about 4 tackles. They should have sacked him, and throws a bomb down the field to Thornton, who gets pass interference. And now they're at the 7 or so, and we're lucky that we even covered the 3 because they took a shot before they decided to kick the field goal. So we survived that one, but we should have cashed the plus 160. Only Russell Wilson could have blown that. And then for the game, we saw how many opportunities. Chiefs kept giving the ball back. They shouldn't even got the last possession that the Giants had. They had the ball. All they had to do is score a touchdown for the back door. Russell Wilson just is terrible, man. I don't know what he's doing. He's just dropping back and just doing nothing. So maybe Dayball isn't the coach people think he is. What has he shown? Like, he definitely let down Daniel Jones, as we see now. He's over there with Shane Steichen, a real coach, a real offensive mind.
He's a fine offensive coordinator. He's just like Mike McDaniel. He just shouldn't be a head coach. But to be fair, that GM is really bad too. I mean, they need a complete overhaul, and they need them to be on the same page.
Who is their GM now?
I can't remember. Oh gosh,
they haven't been good since Floyd Reese left. Floyd Reese was a really good GM for them.
It's been the same guy. I'll look the name up right now. It's I'm gonna be
the guy that hired Joe Judge, right?
Yeah, that's how long it's been. Joe Shane.
Yeah, he's not good.
No, he's terrible.
He's not good at all.
But they need to do it right. They need to bring in a general manager first, and then have him hire his own coach. I mean, they just do everything backwards there.
Well, they're like Ford. They're a company that's still trying to run a model that they ran in the 1930s with the Marr family, because it's still them running it and still, doing what they do their way. They're about building defensive linemen and getting just competent quarterbacks, not really superstars, and running the ball. And they haven't changed that model, and it's 2025. So it's almost a whole century later, and the Giants are still trying to, run an old model that doesn't work in football anymore. So that's what that basically went down to. But it's a bad handicap on my part, because I knew heading into this game that Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs were 27-0 on the road as favorites of 6 points and above. And they were in a must-win situation. The defense gets it done for them, holds things down. The Chiefs, you still better be careful for them. I saw Mahomes get a little confidence back in the second half. He's developing a nice relationship with Tyquan Thornton. I watched him at Baylor. He's a burner. He's a playmaker. The more confident he gets in the NFL, the better player he's going to be. And soon he'll have some guys that are going to take all the heat off him, because it'll be Rashee Rice out there as the number 1 guy. Then they'll have Xavier Worthy back as soon as he can deal with playing with that shoulder. And now you got Tyquan Thornton as a guy who's going to get the 3rd DB, and he's going to be cooking them. You saw Big Red does not play. Andy Reid is a tough dude. Raised his kids to Philly. Unfortunately, lost one of his kids to heroin, man, and the other one went to prison. So he comes from a tough little, household. He's a tough guy, and, really no nonsense. Did you see how he had to get in the face of Travis Kelce and check him? I guess Travis Kelce forgot, because, he played Andy Reid's this kind of, teacher type and quiet guy, but Andy Reid used to play left tackle at BYU, and he got in his face and he was ready to get on his ass.
All right. Yeah, a lot of people count the Chiefs out. I'm not ready to do that yet. You mentioned the 2 weapons coming back, and that offense is going to look a lot different. And people what they're not factoring is, it's just 2 wide receivers. It's going to open up things in the run game too. There's a reason Pacheco, for those of you guys who play fantasy or DFS, hasn't been very good, because they don't need to respect over the top. When Worthy and Rice come back, it's going to open up a lot of opportunities for whoever's in that backfield. Guys, if you have any questions, put them in the chat right now. It's been kind of a quiet chat today, 5-star. They're probably not used to us up being this early, right? But I don't actually have a lot right now. But if you guys do have one, we're going to do the present right now. We're going to break down tonight's game, and then any questions that you throw in during this next segment. We'll answer them live here on the air before we go to the ball and parlay. Although, spoiler alert, my breakdown for the game is going to be my ball and parlay. I don't have a lot on the tennis front this week. So let's move to the present. I don't think it's going to happen, but really a great opportunity to make the NFC more fun as a fan, because if the Detroit Lions were to get the win tonight, right? Even if the Packers won yesterday, it would be different. But with the Packers taking that loss to the Browns, if the Lions can put up a win against what a lot of people I listen to and talk to that just do power ratings and just do numbers, they still have Baltimore Ravens power rated number 1, right? So this would be a very impressive victory on the road. You know, one of the reasons I fade Detroit a lot outside, and one of the reasons I'm fading them tonight, they haven't been good outdoors. They can answer a lot of questions and kind of take away all the talk of the coordinators and the loss center and different things going on there with the win. Unfortunately, 5-star, I just don't see it happening, you know, and I talked about how much different these division games are, and the Ravens have been so fantastic out of conference. Lamar Jackson has only lost like twice to the NFC in his career, and I think that he's such a dynamic player, it's impossible to prepare for him, right? I mean, maybe if you have like the Malik Willis, or, you know, there's a couple guys in the league, Jalen Milroe maybe, that might be able to kind of adequately recreate what he's doing in practice. Lamar and the Ravens are simply too much. And then, of course, one of the most balanced football teams in the league. You know, if they're behind, they got an explosive offense there with Lamar taking to the air, and Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews. I know he hasn't been good this year, but, you know, he's still a threat that has to be reckoned with. And if they get that lead, although, you know, they didn't show it against Buffalo and there was that unfortunate fumble, you know, 9 times out of 10, I'll take Derrick Henry to go ahead and close the game down. And that's why when he signed there 2 seasons ago, we thought it was going to be the addition that pushes them over the top. If this game was in Detroit, I might go a little different here, but I think the home field advantage is going to be worth a lot more than 2 points tonight because of, number one, how good Baltimore plays at home, combined with the fact how bad Detroit is outdoors. If this was even in a dome, you know, I don't mind Detroit on the road. Outdoors, nighttime, I know it's not going to be too cold here, but I think it's going to be too much here. And I think the number one power-rated teams by a lot of people is going to get it together. I know it sucks. We've been taking a lot of favorites lately, 5-star. But, you know, hey, the public wins sometimes, and I think the public's going to eat again tonight if they're on Baltimore. What do you think for this game?
Well, you know, in these standalone primetime games, I hate to be with the overwhelming, you know, favor with the public. There's some numbers that we could talk about on both sides that kind of would make it where you can see either way that you go in this game. It's not as clear cut as people think with the Ravens. The Lions are 16-0-1 against the spread since 2017, coming off a 4+ point win when they scored at least 34 points. So that means when they're humming, they stay humming, and their offense looked really good last week. And we know that the Ravens defense isn't the juggernaut that it once was. Detroit went 6-0 against the spread last season in those situations. You talk about Lamar Jackson. He's one of the best we've seen on Monday night. He's 22 passing touchdowns, hasn't threw an interception in 9 Monday night appearances. That's unbelievable. 22 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's twice thrown 5 touchdown passes, and he had 4 touchdown passes as well. So Lamar sees this as a situation where, you know, it's like, I'm on the stage. Let me show everybody what I could do. And he always steps up. He's one of those guys who don't run away from the spotlight. He's always been confident in his talent. Other side, Jared Goff, though, is a really good primetime player. 19-4 against the spread in primetime. I still remember the game he had against Mahomes, the shootout with the Rams and the Chiefs, where he threw for some ungodly amount of yards. I want to say 500 yards or something. Baltimore's defense is lacking, and they also will be without the defensive tackle, Nnamdi Madubuku, and he's really good. He's one of those guys who you don't pay a lot of attention to because he plays D tackle, but he's been a Pro Bowler the last 2 seasons. I also be without Kyle Van Noy. Kyle Van Noy is the brains of that defense. He's a really smart player, gets guys in the right position. He's known for being a playmaker ever since his days with the Patriots. Also missing fullback Patrick Rashard. He's great lead blocker. Maybe that's one of the reasons Derrick Henry didn't do too well last week against a stout Cleveland defense. I think he only ran for 30-some yards or something like that. Ravens, they lead the league in scoring. They're averaging 40.5 points. They've reached the 40-point mark in both of their games this year. We know that the Lions can score, so naturally I'm looking towards the 53.5. Also, I like Jared Goff to have over 35.5 pass attempts because I think they're going to throw it around a little bit, and them having to keep up with the Ravens is going to make it where he has to throw the ball. So something else to watch. I've been getting more and more lately into who's the referees and the crew. And in this one, you got Bill Vinovich, and this guy has shown a prevalence for the visiting dogs. The dogs are 22-7 against the spread with him as the referee in the game and his crew. So with all that said, give me the over 53.5 just to be safe. I think it turns to a shootout. I think we see a lot of points on both sides. The Ravens embarrassed the Lions last time they were there, 2023. It was 38-6, and I think that Dan Campbell's going to remember that and have his team play a lot better this trip to Baltimore. I do lean to 4.5 with the Lions. It's down from 6, but my main play on this one would definitely be the over 53.5.
All right, 5-star. Not a lot of questions today, but let's just go ahead and check in on the chat. G-Swag first in here. Yes, sir. Thank you for joining us today. Clyde with the question, but I can answer it quickly. Bro, are we live? Yes. Yes, we are. Live on the Wagering World. Get you guys the information a little sooner. Clyde's he's a Chiefs fan making fun of me about the Raiders. And, hey, let's face it, they deserved it after a completely winnable game. And it's not that they lost. It was really the poor performance they showed without. Long season, though. Hopefully they can turn things around. Q, what's good, Wagering World? We love to hear that. What about this comment, though? Clemson is cooked. Do you believe this to be true, 5-star?
Definitely. If I'm Dabo Swinney right now, I go and see what my young talent can do at quarterback. It's obvious that he's having some problems with Cade Klubnik. Cade Klubnik should be embarrassed. He was making all types of excuses. Fran Brown and Syracuse just kicked their ass. Like, simple as that. They even tried to have a super long break, like it was a storm or thunder or something, and they tried to make it where Clemson had time to kind of regroup. It was like a 2-hour halftime, and nothing changed. Syracuse still came out and laid the lumber. But in the post game, I found it really, really a problem that Cade Klubnik wouldn't accept responsibility and accountability for not playing well. Just say we lost, man. They played well. I haven't played my best football. Instead, he was talking about some nonsense about Syracuse players were faking injuries and they couldn't get into their rhythm. Like, nah, man, that's not what we're going to do here. Not on the Wagering World. All right, let's get to Ant Money Murray. He said Lions are 3-0 against the spread since 2024 after a loss. Ravens 20-6 when wearing black jerseys at home. That's a neat little stat, but the Lions are coming off a win this time, and they're not coming off a loss. So that's not going to matter much at all. Any more questions before we get into the ball and parlay? I'll give them a few seconds, Spread.
Let's just shout out a couple of our guys from the Wagering World. Carlos Castillo went live as we started the lunch break, so he liked that one there. J-Rock acknowledging made a penny off the plays and knowledge, so pretty penny there. I appreciate that. Jay Cash pointing out the teaser buster was Green Bay. Can't let all those square teasers cash. T Slick, thank you for joining us. Lester Kirk says, I think CJ agrees with you, 5-star. He looked real disinterested on the field. It's hard. I think, like I said, a lot of that is the blocking up the middle. And even when it's coming from the ends, I think it's a little easier to avoid. You kind of know to glide. When it's up the middle, man, it's really tough. Even Brady, arguably greatest of all time, always struggled with pressure up the middle. So T Slick's thinking of pulling up to the game, and J-Rock is there right now. Thank you for rocking with us here on the Wagering World. 5-star, I already gave it away. I'm going to go ahead and start with the ball and parlay. I took the Ravens minus 4.5 tonight. I just think you talked about Lamar Jackson in primetime. And, even dating back to the MVP last year, I don't know if it's possible, but it's almost like he's underrated. I think that he knows that he's not getting the credit he deserves. Imagine if he was doing this in New York or Chicago. or Los Angeles, how we would talk about him. But since he's down there in Baltimore, it feels like we consistently kind of move past him. Him and the rest of the team are going to be ready tonight. And like I said, if it always comes down to it and I'm on the fence, I'm going to fade Detroit when they're outdoors, especially with that strong home field advantage that the Baltimore Ravens had. So this is actually my first bet I placed this week. I did it way back when the line came out last Monday. I've been on it all week, and no CLV, however. It was -4.5 when I bet it. I'm seeing -4.5 offshore right now, but that's the plan I'm giving to you guys. Give me the Ravens -4.5.
All right, you heard Spread. He's going with the Ravens at -4.5. I told you guys I kind of lean the over, but I also, honestly, I lean Detroit in that game. It's not an official play yet. I'll let the market shake out a little bit before I make a decision. My guy Spread is from Sacramento. Let's talk about maybe another Sacramento Kings fan, and that's Jensen Brooksby. I think that he's been playing really well, really tough lately. He's going to be playing tonight at even money against a guy who has not had a good year, and that's Hugo Humbert, from France. And what's weird, Hugo is a better hard court player than a clay player, which is very rare in France. Tonight there in Tokyo, we know that in Asia, it's always really, really fast courts. So I think that that's going to do better for my guy Jensen Brooksby at +100. I think that he gets it done at even money. So we're going to roll with him. And then while we're on the Asian swing, let's go to the ladies. I love betting the ladies. We got Christina Buska. She's at -340 against Maria Carley, just going to completely outclass her. Let's put her together with Elsa Giacomo. She's a young lady from Paris. Since the French Open, when she did really well and ended up being beaten by her country lady, Boyson, she's done really well on hard courts. A young lady who has a lot of fights. She'll be playing Victoria Jimenez Castasiva, and Castasiva is a good left-handed player. She just doesn't have what it takes, in my opinion, to beat Giacomo at this stage of her career. So let's put together Buska at -340 with Giacomo at -145 for a +119, and that'll be the ball parlay for us tonight. Before we get off, I want to say rest in peace to Dave Sharapan, man. I watched him for many years on Sports Grid. Met him when he was working at the Cosmopolitan years ago. We used to run into each other at Bet Bash every now and then, and I always liked Dave because he was a true epitome of old school betting, kind of like me, kind of stuck to who he was. You'll see him out. He's going to have his cap on and his jersey to match, and whatever team he's betting on, he's going to have, the hat and the jersey to match, man. Dave was only 55 and unfortunately passed, man, on early Sunday morning. My thoughts and prayers to his wife and to his daughters. Guys, this show is called Keep Going because we know that everyday life isn't going to be easy, man. It's going to be different things that give you issues, things that make you just want to say, I quit. That's why we love using sports betting as a teaching method for not only winning, but also for life, because sports bettors have to learn early how to shake off a loss and keep going, how to, believe in your system. The easiest thing to do is quit. Keep learning, keep growing, guys. Live every day like it's your last, but plan like you'll never die. And, we have to take in account and learn from other people's stories. And I know that Dave last week probably thought he'd still be here, man. So, guys, rest in peace to him. And, guys, continue to keep going, keep growing. All right, man, as always, I dedicate this show to the greatest Houston sports fan I know, and that's my father, John H. Lindsay. I do this for you, Dad. Anything for the people, Spread, before we get out of here?
Let's hope we have another good game tonight. And, this is the wagering world.
This is the wagering world. It's always us versus the machine. We'll catch you guys on Wednesday.